Hey, Noah.
Mm-hmm.
We did it again.
Oh, no.
Well, everybody, this is Garrett. Welcome back to Smoke in the Woods. And as you can see there, we got our little H. And we got the mighty M. New tractor. Just doesn't kind of become a habit, doesn't it, Noah?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I thought I'd show you guys this. We did go ahead and we got a M. The only thing is it's tricked out with everything M&W I think ever made. We have our live hydraulics and our power steering, which is actually not M&W. Looking at it now, it looks like it's a Bellin. But we also have the big, kind of obsolete big oil filter. I don't know when the oil was changed on this last. We have two-way hydraulics. In is two-way, I believe, and pull it out is one-way. We have a loader, which is a Lion loader. I believe it's Lion Productions out of Nebraska back in the day. And, of course, we have a bucket. Cool stuff there. We come on over here. We've got some rebuilt stuff here. We got a fairly new carburetor. I hope it's not the Chinese-made one, but we will see. The stampings on the, you can see here. By the way, this loader has got to come off. There's got a lot of stuff we got to do to this thing yet, but if you look at the stampings, this was August 22nd of I, which I in international coding stands for 1939. And let's see, this one over here should be the same or close to it. Yep, this one's 827 of I. And then you see up here on the tread plate, we have 8550 DC, and then below the DCI with the old 1920s and 30s IH logo with the C. You can see it stops there to see it's not the IH logo that we know today. From everything I can tell, the seat is off of a Super M or a later tractor, and they put the pan back on it, but you can see here where the hydraulic connections you can run through there. But and like I said, there's I stamped on this tread plate, which tread plate is broken in a few places, but there is an I stamped on there. So this is, as far as I can tell, a 1939 tread plate. But maybe this is one of the first ones that they didn't do the trench in, because I know they only did that for a few months. So I'm no expert on this subject. I have 2 books. I don't think I would consider anybody extremely knowledgeable on a subject until they have a library, which usually consists of, in my opinion, at least 10 books on the subject, and they've read them. But yeah, this is what we got. Anyway, there's a few issues with this here tractor, isn't there, Noah?
A few.
Few good things, though. I bought this tractor for $500. And for $500, I got brand new tires. I mean, they're a couple years old, but they've never been used. And brand spanking new rims the guy had put on it. And the thing is, if worse comes to worse, these tires will go right over here on this H and replace my dry rotted tires. So, wheels and tires, these tires cost at least $600 a piece before shipping nowadays. And the rims are extremely expensive, probably closer to $1,000 a piece. I don't know, haven't really priced them, but I figure I have close to at least $1,500 in tires and rims on the back of this tractor. I am going to attempt to revive it. It's got a few issues.
A few.
First of all, when I bought it, I knew the guy said the motor's stuck. Ran it a few years ago, everything's fine, nothing blew up. But the motor is just stuck. And it's because we've had some pretty wet years here for us. And he's obviously had the top on, and maybe a little water got in there. The thing is, we've unlocked stuck engines before, and I think we can do it again. If nothing else, it doesn't cost that much to rebuild one. You can get the kit for like $500 max to do a complete in-frame engine rebuild. It just takes time and knowledge, right? Well, we got knowledge even if we don't have time, right? And somebody's already 12-volt converted this, that they put the big alternator on it instead of the mini alternator that I would have put on it. And they can't shut the hood now because of that, so we're going to have to rectify that. It's like I said, engine stuck. We're going to start working on getting that engine unstuck. That water ran down in there. Enough water got in there that it froze it and completely just snapped this cylinder all the way along there. Just, as you can see, it just split it. And so that cylinder's toast. I don't know if I've never had to re-weld a cylinder, because usually on modern stuff you can just find another cylinder, and I'm sure I can for this too. But for the moment, the loader's toast, so we're gonna have to get that off of there. Have to get it off there anyway, because not only is the engine stuck, the rear end's stuck too. Now, this could be a frozen bearing, but I think just for the small amount of time, well, it's not small amount of time, but a few years that this was setting, I have a feeling that those brakes are both stuck, because the gear shift's moving, the clutch is engaging, everything else, unless it's a frozen bearing right there in the back, I think those brakes are stuck. Now, the thing is, to get those brakes off, I'm gonna have to take the loader off. So what did we wind up with? Well, we wound up with a tractor with a stuck front end and a stuck rear end. But, like I said, for $500, even if I don't have a cylinder for the loader, I gotta, if worse comes to worse, for some reason, something's shot, something's cracked in that rear end block, or something's cracked in that rear end housing or something, if worse were to come to worse, I got a bucket and 2 new tires and rims for $500. The tires and rims will go right over there on that H. Which, by the way, that H is pretty much mechanically sound at this point. We've been through just about everything on it. We've worked on it a lot. It's ready for paint. No, I'll hop up there and fire up the H. Give her. So as you can see, there is a bit of a size difference between an M and an H. Now that H is parked backwards a little bit from that M, but that M's still pretty big. One of the reasons I really wanted this was because of that wide front end. You don't see many of those around here. Well, you don't see many M's around here anymore, period. But that wide front end on the ranch here where I work, that was one of the defining tractors, shall we say, of its 1950s to 80s. They had a loader tractor, M, wide front end, and they sold it. It looks an awful lot like it, and if nothing else, it's a twin to it, basically. Noah's having way too much fun. So anyway, step 1, we got to get this loader took off of here. Step 2, we're going to try to free the brakes, and we're going to start working on getting that motor free. Caleb is kind of a wizard at getting these stuck motors loose. He's got a concoction that I don't know exactly what it is yet, or I don't remember exactly what it is, so I can't tell you, but if we do an update video, I'll let you know. So we're going to start working on getting that motor loose, get that loader off, see if I can find a cylinder, and see if we can get those brakes unstuck. It's going to be quite the project, but there's a lot of things I can do with an M around here. Some people say that this may have been a stuck bearing, and it very well may have been. We're about to find out just how stuck these brakes might be. I'm stuck. And yes, we're using a wrench for a front bar right now. Having any issues. It's shot. I'm kind of wondering now if this wheel will spin. Okay, so the other brake drum, or cover, is off, and I didn't film it because it was tough to do, but that dude was stuck, and we didn't even get it clear off yet. It's still a little stuck back here, so we can't get that piece off like we normally would, but that's okay. It's free now. Noah, go farm a field.
Yay, it's free.
I didn't notice before, but that's also the M&W clutch linkage. Huh. I guess the moral of the story is, these old tractors you think have a locked up rear end, don't give up on them too quickly, because even if they've just sat for a couple of years, brakes could be stuck. And by the way, if you want to know how stuck that was, these are the tracks that were from where we drug it backwards to get out from under the loader. So yeah, those brakes were stuck. Well, yeah, I know, I'm dirty. Time for an update on the M. As you can see, we've come a little ways. We got the rear end unlocked the other day, and then I got tired of waiting for the penetrating oil to work on that piston, and I'm kind of glad it did. As you can see, we got good, not so good. Right there's our issue. And I think it's because there was a crack in the manifold that might have let liquid in there somehow. I don't know. It was a 41 engine, and this was a distillate engine from the serial number on it and the markings, but they took the distillate engine part or head off and put a gasoline head. And remember, this is early on, so they should have flathead pistons, but I believe those are what International called their fire crater pistons. So this is a souped up, pretty warm M. And I should have assumed that with all the M&W add-ons and all the fancy stuff that they had on this tractor, that they would have rebuilt this. So what do you think, Noah? That was quite the job getting that head off, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. It's all over there. Really should have this in the shed to do this, but at this point, I don't know how far we go. We might try to hone that. It may be time for an all new sleeves. I don't know if I want to try to save the pistons, because you know they don't look terrible. We will see what happens. We're probably gonna get a new head gasket and some other stuff, but let's see if we can get this thing to move now. We can tap down. Now normally, if I was doing this, we would hone each and every cylinder that's still up, because this piston's 3/4 of the way up. But I don't think we need to, because all those other rings are pretty good. I think this engine was rebuilt not terrible long ago, but somebody just didn't get her sealed up quite right. So we're going to start just gentle here. And I don't want to get real crazy with it just yet, because I don't want to tear anything up at this point.
Ready? She's free! Woohoo!
Now we need a bunch of stuff.
What do you say, Garrett?
Well, now I need a head gasket, and at this point, what do they say? Them nasty little sentences like, well, we're already here, so we might as well. Those two nasty little phrases. I don't know how far I'm going to carry that. But I definitely got to hone that cylinder out before we try to actually circle it around where it comes back up.
It's a tad bit rusty.
We may be able to save her. We may give it a go. We'll see if I get a 3-stone hone in there and see what that does. We might be onto something finally. We might try to hone that out, and we might salvage that sleeve. I'm not sure yet at this point. Alright, so we were doing some work on the head of this Farmall M, and we found a mystery. If you look down in here where this pliers is, there's some kind of bolt or nail. It looks like it has threads. And I thought, well, somebody must have dropped that in there. But if we look at it, the head is like 6 inches long. So my first thought was it might come through over here where the thermostat goes. But there's just no way this thing bent around all the places it would have to go to get in there if it came through there. It's got some kind of big square head on it. Could that have possibly been in there when they cast this thing? Because I don't know how in the world something like that would get in here. Woohoo! Woo! Go in reverse, Noni. Head off. Whoa, away she goes. All right, come back forward. You don't have any brakes. Running smooth. Alright, that's probably good. Alright guys, back again. I get to do some of these things when it's rainy. Noah and I are out here, and what we've just done, and you'll get to see the test footage, but we decided that there were a few things I wanted to know more about this M. For one thing, I did what you're not supposed to technically do, but we thought we'd give it a try. I took the old head gasket and I painted copper coat on it, and I put it back on, torqued it down real well, and I wasn't sure if the engine block had any cracks or anything in it. Not sure if the old head gasket's going to hold just the way that we put it back on. So what we're going to do here, and you'll see in just a few minutes, is we're going to crank this tractor up, and we are going to run it on jumper cables because for some reason every now and then the alternator doesn't charge. There's a short in the wire. I need to make a whole wiring harness for this tractor. We're running on the jumper cables. We're going to fire this thing up and run it for 2 hours at 3/4 throttle and see what happens. See if we get any coolant in the oil or any oil in the coolant. Now, like I said, there's some copper coat in that coolant. I flushed it once and refilled it with water because I wasn't going to spend a bunch of money on antifreeze if we're having an issue. Water will come right out here when we're done. But I noticed that there was some rust and some other stuff in there, so it's good to flush the system, keep going. And when I first fired this up the other day in that short, I noticed there was a little bit of sparkly copper coat in there, and I'm pretty sure that's squeezed off of that head gasket when I torqued it. We're going to fire this thing up, get it good and hot, let it run hard for a couple hours, and see if we heat this engine up, if anything opens up, or if anything lets go. So what we're doing here is we're just letting this thing run it kind of revved up for a couple hours. And yes, I'm still running jumper cables on it ever so often because I don't think that my alternator's charging. It's short in the wire, something that charges and it doesn't. If you take jumper cables off on that old dead battery, it won't run. But the idea here is we want to make sure this engine block isn't cracked anywhere, you know, we haven't seen. We'll make sure our head gasket holds up. So what we're doing is we're running it really warm. Then we're going to go ahead and check the coolant, which by the way is just water right now. I'm going to put antifreeze in it later, and we'll check the oil, see if we get any milk, any issues from that. Surprisingly, for having honed that cylinder, we are not getting any smoke whatsoever. We're not burning oil. So that all seems to be working out pretty good. Fuel system's cleaned up, it's working good. Might need a little bit of carburetor adjustment yet. A little bit running rough, but right now we're at 3/4 throttle. Which is not bad for just firing something up that's set for, 10 years. And I haven't adjusted the valve lash either. So I need to do all that. But I'm not going to put any more money into this thing until I know for sure it's going to run without, doesn't have a cracked engine block anywhere that we can't see or anything else bad going on. This thing will sit here and run warm like it is right now. It's finally warmed up to where I can barely touch it. We'll let this thing sit here and run for 2 hours and get really good and hot and nothing happens. I'll probably air that tire up that has a slow leak, and I might try to tie onto something like that old grater blade or something and really get it warmed up as much as I can to make sure there's nothing mixing in there. Well, she's been running for just shy of 2 hours. Let's take a look. Still running a little rough. Water looks good. Thermostat's open. Not boiling hot. I'm going to let her run for a little bit more, and I'm going to air that tire up and take a spin. We'll hop on there and see what that's like. Still don't have brakes, so I got to be careful. Okay, we about got our tires aired up. There's probably enough juice in this battery. We have a little gas. Probably enough juice in this battery to run for 4 or 5 minutes. So I really want to try this thing out. So what we're going to do, get our tools off of here, move some stuff around. We're going to fire her up, and I'm going to take her for a little spin. Then I'll take you guys with me and see what you think. Contact, hopefully. Might take a second because it ran out of gas. Or not. M&W friction throttle. Give us a little throttle. I know you got to push the clutches and adjust it, so you got to flat push it to the floor. There's that power steering kicking in a little bit. Woo! Finger. Wide front tractor of this era that you can finger turn. That's pretty awesome. Whee! actually fairly tight. It needs a new steering wheel, but steering is not bad on this bad boy right here. And yes, the hood is up a little bit because they have that giant alternator in there. And it doesn't exactly shed on it. I got to do some adjustments to that.
How's she run?
After several hours of running hot and hard, here's the oil. I don't see a bit of water in it. It just looks like motor oil. So I think our reused head gasket full of copper coat survived. I will say, man, that power steering is a dream. It just time for a steering wheel, wiring harness. Got to put the drawbar back on the back so I don't have to get my parachute out to get down. Than that, I know I have my hydraulics working already. I got to build them out for those, but we may be ready to go feed some cattle with this thing. All right, we got to put the old end to the tank. First job. Let's put the wood. So the motor on this, if you're wondering, the motor don't run too well, and that little bitty pump isn't quite up to snuff. So that's why we're using the M with the live hydraulics. Be about equivalent to running it with a Super M, I do believe. See that? You can always tell when Caleb's been playing with a carburetor, when it'll sit here and do this all day long at this RPM. I know I give him credit a lot, but Caleb is a real genius when it comes to this stuff. I got the alternator remounted. The hood needs bent back a little bit from all those years of being out there. So the hood shuts. We have live hydraulic setups now. Don't look at that white bar, it needs painted. Kind of brown colored to match the rest of it. There we got basically two-way live hydraulics. Guess what? We got brakes again. What do you guys think? Should we go for a little tractor ride? Let's go for a ride. Alright guys, time to go for a little tractor ride. Now the interesting thing about these tractors is these big rear wheels. I got to tighten down my light bar there. It's kind of turning around on me. So if you let these tractors set even for a few months in one spot, these rear wheels will get kind of egg-shaped. You get a little flat spot on them, even when they're aired up to proper pressure. The only way to get rid of that, as you can see, you go down the road at any kind of speed, which we're not even really idled up. We do have brakes again, by the way. If you go down the road at any kind of speed, which we're only on 3, we're only half throttle. They'll really let you know it. They'll bounce you all over the place, right? Well, let's get out of this rut in fourth gear. They'll bounce you all over the place. They'll let you know about it. And the only way to get them back into around is just to go out and drive it at a high rate of speed. I did realize now my light bar's loose, so either need to take that off until I get some lights, or because that one's shot. Or tighten it down. I don't know yet. I'm still rigging up my step-up system for climbing on this beast. I realized last night, this is fourth gear by the way, that wind common with internationals, especially when they're just shy of 90 years old, you know, 84, 85, whatever this is. And I did find when I hopped on my H last night, the big difference between the M and the H is you don't need an elevator to get on the H. It's so nice, it's just kind of a hop and skip, hop right up there. Kind of shows to me why so many H's were probably sold. Yeah, they're a lot less powerful than the M, but they're also more convenient for getting on and off and in and out of places, that's for sure. I think next step is I still need a tire tube because I got a slow leak. I'm not going to patch that tube because it's a million years old. The next step might just be, after I get hooked up, I need a good international style exhaust, right? One that makes the right sound and is a little taller than that dinky thing somebody cut off. Well, here's be a good spot to go to fifth gear. Get these tires back in and around. Listen to her growl. We're gonna bounce all over the place for a minute. Woo! So give her a little throttle. Now we're moving. This is way faster than the H. I know it probably don't look like it, but I bet we're doing between 20 and 25. This is a fast dude. I'm still only at 4. I can open this throttle up a lot more if I wanted. Gotta turn your head around. Well, we're back. Okay guys, today is the day. We got the M hooked up to the big mixer wagon and we're going to see what it can do. Now, this is a really big wagon for this tractor. I can haul 5,000 pounds of mixed ration on top of a probably 3,000 pounds of wagon. So you're talking pushing and pulling around 10,000 pounds. Will the M do it? I don't know. We're going to find out. We have brakes, but we don't have a lot of weight. My theory is that as we fill the wagon, since the wheels on the wagon are set a little bit to the back, we're going to be adding weight to the rear end of the tractor by adding weight to the wagon. Now, we're going to be very careful doing this. We're going to find out if we can pull roughly 8,000 to 10,000 pounds. We should be able to. On flat ground, good conditions, should work out, right? Now, most of everything I have to feed is pretty flat, except for one very steep hill. And it's not a very tall hill, probably only 30 feet up and then over the top. But the beautiful thing, hopefully, about that is we probably will never be going up it completely loaded with a 5,000 pound of ration, maybe 3,000, and maybe it won't even do it. We're going to find out today. Worst comes to worst, we unhook it and put one of those more modern tractors back on it. The reason we're doing this is because modern tractors have your air conditioner condenser, your transmission coolers, all that stuff is right there in front of the tractor. Very hard to keep cleaned out. There's all kinds of protective stuff around the exhaust of the modern tractors that constantly catches hay, and you have to basically break the whole thing down every couple days just to clean it out so it don't catch on fire. And so our theory here is that, and it's just really hard on those modern equipment to run all day, every day in the winter with mud and ice and hay, and the sensors in those modern tractors don't like that very well. But we're going to attempt this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we'll do something different. Maybe we'll find something with a little more power. But we're going to try this. Like I said, my biggest issue I think I'm going to have is not going uphill. It's being able to stop this load, right? So under no circumstances are we ever going down that steep hill loaded at all. We're going to be empty coming back, and if for some reason we have to come back loaded, I'll just go around to a little longer way that doesn't have that hill in the road. So without further ado, we're going to load this thing up and give it a try. You guys have been watching this series along with me, know we came from a stuck rear end, locked up motor, everything in this tractor, and we didn't spend a whole lot of money on it. A little bit, mostly for oil changes and this and that, and fuel filters and little odd and end stuff. But we have gone from completely locked up, hopeless piece of junk that only the tires and rims were worth anything, to possibly this tractor could be doing daily work. All right, so we have done a little bit of work on the fuel system here. We got new fuel lines. The old ones were dripping. If you see a wet area down there on top of that belt pulley box, that is just where the fuel dripped out whenever I completely, there's another hose clamp, what do you know? Whenever I pulled that old system out, I cleaned the bottom of the tank a little bit, pulled that sediment bowl out, put an inline filter. I know a lot of people don't like that, but we're doing it at least for a little while just because there's still some sediment floating around in the bottom of that bowl. But anyway, let's give this thing a good old cold start. It's about 45 degrees right now, so not terribly cold. Never standing in front of a tractor to start it, I know. I'm just doing it right now because I absolutely know that's clear. We have a key switch now. Key switch on. I'm going to try it without any choke and see what happens here. Like I said, cold start. I fixed the throttle that was springing back, so we're going to give it about quarter throttle. Let's see what happens. Hasn't started in a day, over 24 hours. Didn't take much, I guess. Let's give her a go. Temperature gauge in here that works. Need to get one of those. Okay, clutch in. Have to be in neutral because I still don't have live PTO. PTO engaged. Yes, sir. Here we go. And we have to zero our scales. Yes, I have a piece of wire on there because I have a broken bolt in the top of the monitor and I need to replace it. Let's zero. Alright, here we go. Man, from here that M looks awful small on that big wagon. I hope we can pull this off. Now you may say, Garrett, after that talk you just gave us about wanting to use older, more simpler equipment. More simple, not more simpler. Why in the world are you using a fairly New Holland tractor with a grapple bucket loader? Well, fact of the matter is, I don't have an older loader that can load to the capacity I need. You know, we're going to be feeding, well, around 30,000 pounds of ration come January, and capacity means a lot. Let's do this without making a mess. First bucket of hay for the year. If I can pull this load easy enough, the others will be pud. This is going to be a little over 4,000 pounds. I'll get, in the wintertime, my heaviest loads will be up to about 5,000 pounds of ration. When you get over that, you start breaking the frame on that wagon, and it has been fish plated quite a few times. We don't want to have to do that any more than we have to. So what you're looking at here is wet grain distillers. It's really heavy, and I need about 1,000 pounds. Now, every year when I start this, it's hard for me to estimate what's in the bucket, so we're going to start small and then go big. But what this is it's a byproduct of when they make ethanol. It also brings a certain moisture to make the hay kind of doughy, and the cattle really appreciate it. Let's put it that way. Good protein. And what we have here is a bucket of corn silage. Funny thing is, you can't really grow corn in our country in south central Kansas, north central Oklahoma most of the time. But this year was an odd year, and we were actually able to grow some corn, and we chopped it to silage, which means it's got grain in it, it's got moisture, it's got protein, and it's just a really good mix. Alright, so we were shooting for a 4,200 pound load, and that's about where we are. It'll bounce around a little bit like that. My curiosity was, would this have enough PTO horsepower to mix such a heavy load of good wet distillers and silage and hay? But this is just a little above, we're just a little above idle. And that governor kicked in, and she's doing the job thus far. And as Farmall fanatic would say, regulators mount up. Now the real question. first year. Can we pull probably 8,000 pounds? We're going to give her every advantage. Not in reverse. Oh yeah, here we go. Not only can we pull it, we can still steer. I was kind of curious if that was going to be the issue, but no, we can still steer. Thought I might have to add some front weight. We definitely have plenty of back weight. Just rolling around on flat ground thus far, not too bad. Well, we got through load number one all right. We fed on top of hay so that it was kind of out here in the open. It's fine. They don't stomp it in when you feed on top of an unrolled hay bale. The rest of the loads will be in bunks. It works. I'm not saying that the M tractor is efficient, but it was sufficient. Will she do her 8 hours a day, all winter long? Time will tell, I guess. Let's see what happens. It was really a load there, but then again, that was a really heavy load, so we will see. Well, I'm starting to come to a conclusion here. This would probably work just fine for dry weather, like we're having right now. Things are working out. But it gets wet and muddy. This little tractor just isn't probably going to be up to this job. I can grant you an M is a powerful tractor for today, but today was 80 years ago. 86 in the case of this tractor. So we're going to continue on, but I think we're going to keep our eyes peeled for another old tractor, maybe in the 100 horsepower range. Right now we're going to try to pull this little ride. Still seems good thus far. We're trying to do her one-handed. On to load number 3. Takes about an hour a load. When we hit January, February, you're gonna see they have to run right 8, 9, sometimes 10 loads a day. And that is when I'm afraid our little M wouldn't hold up. Thus far, she's doing all right. The only thing that's got me worried about this load is this is the 3rd load, and it's the one with the steep hill in it. It's not a tall hill, but it is steep, and I'm just hoping we can pull it. because I don't know if the brakes will hold us if we don't. So anyway, let's give it a try. Well, here we are. Now, like I said, it's not a big hill. It's probably only 45, 50 feet of incline. She's a steep little booger. And my main issues are, if we stall out, I don't think under perfect conditions my brakes might not hold us. And if everything was under perfect conditions and the brakes did hold us, we might just skid the wheels all the way to the bottom. Luckily, I got a real wide entrance here, so if something does go south, I'll just guide her back down. Believe me, I've done it before. And it won't be no big issue. But if something goes south, you guys are probably getting thrown in the weeds, so I can use both hands and both feet. Now there's two approaches a feller could take to this hill. He could get back there a ways, hit her in about 4th gear just fast as he could, and try to let momentum carry him up and know he'd fail. Or we can just nice and easy take 1st gear, get a feel for it, and see what's gonna happen. As my dearly departed uncle used to say before he left this world, there's no luck unless there's lead in the air, right? Here we go. We're gonna give her everything she's got and hope and pray. This seems like a good place to stop up here on the hill for a minute and let them cattle figure out what's going on. They're not too used to that yet. It's going to take them a minute to figure it out. They're running all right. I notice I got a little leak going on there in the rear axle seal. After things finally warmed up, no big deal. I'm running pretty light oil in it for rear end. I'm running a 75-80 in there for rear end. That's too light. Need to go up to an 85-140, and that would probably fix that little drip. But anyway, for the moment she's doing good. I guess I should come back here and get my thumbnail, huh? There. Thumbnail acquired. Because I still don't have one of the shepherd's hooks for this back right side, or the back left side anyway, of the hood. And vibrating just a hair. Still a work in progress. When in doubt, just bank her in the hillside. That's the oldest parking brake known to man, and it still works. Coming down the hill, but it was pretty uneventful. We just kind of let let the engine hold us and use the brakes a touch, and seems like it worked out fine. Wind her up back home. Get up to fifth. Not fifth gear, just fifth throttle notch. Or not notch, but fifth area on the throttle, we'll call it. I could pull this in fifth gear, but it's so scary fast, I don't even want to attempt it. Well, one more load, one more 4,200 pounder. Then we'll assess. Well, after that first load, I was a bit nervous, but as the day goes on, I've gained a little more confidence there. So maybe my tune's changed, I don't know, we'll see. I don't know how this thing will operate when it gets wet, muddy. Definitely won't pull that hill then, but there are other ways to get up there. Thus far, knock on wood, she's doing her thing. Only have one issue, and I'll show it to you when we get back. Well, we made it through 4 loads. I'm gaining more confidence in her. You know how it is when you work on an engine like this and you've had it apart as far as we have. Every little different sound you think is an oncoming disaster. But I think I'm getting used to it. Running pretty good, really. If anything, me running a small inline fuel filter might be holding us back a little bit on the capacity of fuel, you might say. So I may need to get a bigger one, and who knows, if I get to where I'm getting no junk in the filter at all, I'll probably just take the inline out and just run to the sediment bowl. That's how you're supposed to do it. But thus far, it's been running hard for about 4.5 hours. Doesn't sound like she's having too many issues to me. Yet, anyway. Well, we made it. Let that cool down. Well, we just shut the gas off and it's cooling down there. Did pretty good. Right, Ruben? Ruben thinks you did good. It's not even hot, really. Put your hand right down here on the engine block. Barely warm. I mean, it's warm enough if you held it there for a minute, it might burn you, but the engine itself is not really hot. After 4 hours, 4.5 hours of running as hard as it's probably ever ran its life. When you load 4,200 pounds, throw that PTO on, run that hydraulic pump, and roll along while it's mixing that, dumping it, and pulling it. That's a lot of stress on the old M. But I think we got through with it. It has a big bowl here. I just shut the fuel off, let that cool down, let it die itself out. I'll turn you around and show you our one issue. I was going over a rough spot and I heard crack. And I realized that my drawbar support bar there has broken. But if you look at it closely, you can tell it's been cracked right there for quite a long time. So what we're going to do is get some heavy duty angle iron, blow a couple holes in it with a torch, put one end there, and then put one end down here on this steel, then bring that back up and get a new support bar in there. But outside of that, she did pretty good, and that really didn't affect much because it's got so many heavy bolts holding it together. Other than that, well guys, I call that a complete revival, not a restoration. But we took basically a junkyard tractor, locked up front end, locked up rear end, and went from not being able to do anything to now she's splitting wood, pulling hay wagon, pulling her fair share of weight, being 85, 86 years old at this point. But that's where we're at. I might put all of this whole journey into one big video. If you go back, because there was a lot of shorts footage some people didn't see, a lot of main video footage some people didn't see. But the old M is doing the job again. Hi, Ruben. Alright, we'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you, Noah, for all your help on this project. Couldn't have done it without you. You're a scholar and a gentleman.